head to the mosque, going on a shopping spree from trading to your friends like you be ballin'. Good morning, people. It is 6 a.m. and you guessed it. I am a semi-truck driver today. It is also raining here in Ohio, which means I'm not going to take any chances and do any filming this morning in this thing. I'm just going to get my pre-trip done and hit the road. But I checked the old notebook, and in case you guys are wondering, yeah, I do keep notes of video ideas. I think today's going to be kind of funny and educational for me, that is, because I need to do these things every once in a while. It's kind of the grown-up thing to do, is to go over your budget and see exactly how much you are spending, if nothing else monthly, right? Just, you gotta know. If not, you get caught up in situations where you're like, uh-oh, I'm out of money. And I don't know about you guys, but that happens to me more than I like to admit. You know what really just burns my ass, just really grinds my gears, really just kind of irks me. That word kind of pisses me off, to be honest. Irks? Who come up with that, right? I like somebody trying to describe something their body did. Well, baby, it's just like when you looked at me, my body made this like irky feeling. I was like, rrr. But no, seriously, what really just is so irritating to me, that's really up there with people who live north of Florida saying, oh man, them people up there in Florida, or I'm thinking about going up to Florida. Are you? How you gonna get there? Go around the entire world? Ugh. But people who call this right here, this concrete, the floor, right? These are the only rocket scientists that could have to call 911 for finding somebody laid out, and also double. They can multitask that as a fucking IQ test. 911, what's your emergency? There's a guy out here. He doesn't look like he's breathing. He's just laying on the floor. Sir, is he inside or outside? We're in a parking lot, ma'am. Then why'd you say floor, dumbass? I'm just saying, dude. These are the kind of things that really tick me off, and what's going on? Them kind of people, some of them are in Ohio too, and they need to take their stupid ass and go right up to Florida. And why am I walking? Don't I own a truck? What is this place? Mitchell Brother Tires. A lot of rubber in here. Let's check it out. See if we can get a ride. I went ahead and just got the work day done ahead of time. What, you guys sell tires here? Well, that's ironic, because I got a check for you. I appreciate you, buddy. Have a good day. Got the tire guy caught up. I mean, funny enough, though, and I didn't even mean to do this, and I know it's going to seem like I did, but that's today's video, is bills, man. I thought about this. Yeah, you got all kinds of bills, right? I mean, you got the gas bill, you got the electric bill, you got Buffalo bill. You don't got Buffalo bill. You got all these bills, man, and I don't know about you guys, but just the everyday, the going and going and going and going, you kind of lose track of it, and some of them are auto pay, some of them aren't, and then you just need to take a minute every now and again to like sit down and add them all up. What a good video idea, right? What a great one. That's what I'm gonna do today anyway. Try to figure that out. Let's sit down together at the table. I'm on my way home now. I just gotta find my truck or a ride. Is this my keys and earbuds? Prime.
Hi.
Just another package for you. Not my keys and earbuds. Speaking of bill, can you just add wife? You know, you can walk into a financial planner one day, be like, all right, look, what all bills you got? You're like, yeah, I got automobile insurance, and I've got wife, and he's like, yeah, I can't help you, buddy. All right. So, got a notepad. I got some of the bills, electric, insurance, and got a marker so I could redact some of the personal information. I could just look a lot of this up online and do it that way. Save a lot of editing. Quiet on the set. So let's just kind of jot down something I could think of off top. Like in there is the gas bill, and by gas I mean like natural gas for the house, electric, water. It's a big one. Gotta poop. You gotta be able to flush it and push it down. Is that the email for my headphones? Of course not. I'd like to add that bill in here too. $60-some. I wasn't planning on spending. All right, gas, electric, water, mortgage, car insurance, cell phone, internet, and cable. That's what this is good for too, and I hope maybe this inspires somebody to do the same thing and look through theirs and be like, I don't need that. What are we doing? Because I have this cable package that nobody watches. Nobody. Do you watch that cable package at all anymore?
Yeah, I watched it yesterday. I mean, but it's not a big deal.
All right.
What?
I didn't think you watched it at all. Let's see here. What am I missing? Gas, electric, water, mortgage, car insurance, cell phone, internet, cable. That's where I was at. I pay for YouTube Premium every month.
Mm-hmm. You got car insurance?
Yeah. Ooh, car payment. Dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, while you're standing there, how much is your car payment? $220.
Yeah. Where is that cereal?
What about your insurance? That new cereal, that
Yeah.
real good cereal. I think I put it by the chips right there in that first. See it?
Nope.
Did they take it?
Probably.
Child tax. Your insurance is cheaper than mine, isn't it?
Well, I pay for those too.
Well, how much is that?
170.
It is not cheaper than mine. We need to get on a plan all together, huh?
Yeah.
We just go ahead and get a total of what we got so far. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. This is what happens every time. But if you're applying for something, right, for some sort of assistance or health insurance, they don't let you account for how much you spend, like fuel in your car. My truck is $100 to fill it up. And to be honest, it doesn't get bad gas mileage. So I'm only really filling it up like twice a month. So for truck fuel, I'm only gonna put $200 a month. In the spirit of looking this up, I have a Motor Trend account. Well, I did anyway. And this is one of those things that you never felt like you'd be slighted by some car content company, right? But I've been paying, I wanna say $5.99 a month for like 6 years. And then all of a sudden, I go to log into my Motor Trend account and they're like, yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. And I thought I was putting in the wrong password or something, but they're like, no, it's just we moved to Discovery Plus. So if you have Discovery Plus or something, whatever. But all right, so let's add this up so far. Start logging into these accounts one at a time. The easiest one is the cell phone account because I can just click on it and it logs me right in. All right, so for the internet and cable, we have 143.46, and I'm gonna start like a running tally like right down here, and then you guys can check my math and just keep adding it up. So mobile, all right, there it is. $273.48. And to be fair, that's all 3 newer iPhones, me and both my sons, and we're paying payments on the phones and the service or whatever. So $273.48. So we'll add $273.48 and $143.46. So far, running total is $416.94. I'm sorry, $416.94. Gotta go that way. All right, cool. Not so bad. People can handle $416 a month. Okay. So my car insurance, which that was one of the paper bills I had, so I can save myself from logging in. I'm sure you guys can guess who I have. Can't give away any information here. So, oh, I'm renewing this time. That's why the packet or the thing is so big. Okay, so $187.71. Add it up. Pick them up. $187.71. New totals, $604.65. All right, what do we got next? Mortgage. That's a real easy one. I know that right off the top of my head. That one is $957.81. So plus. All right, we're getting in some real money now. So we have $1,562.46. Next, water bill. Now I know this is going to be a little bit skewed, and the reason is because I do have a pool out back and have had to fill it up several times. You know, if you're familiar with pools, you have to backwash them. You backwash the filter and rinse it to drain, so then you have less water than when you started the backwash. So then you have to replace that water. So it's going to be a little higher than what maybe people are used to, I guess. Wow. Let me make sure that there's no weird information. It just says invoice due date. I can blur some of it out. The invoice was due on the 15th, which I haven't paid it yet. And it is $406.16. So let's add that to. So 406. 16, 1363.97. Well, at this point, you ought to be able to justify that $1,000 you spent on that ad machine there too, because let's be honest, it gave me a little bit of cushion. It told me that I spent $604.65 less than what I actually did. From here on out, just add $604.65 and the math should be right. What's next on the list? Electric? That's not been a means of contention whatsoever. I already know what it is, but I'm gonna log into it just because people don't believe it. Because it's one of those outrageous numbers that people are like, nah. And I remember like a couple months ago when I was complaining about this, they were like, oh, he's just not paying his bill. Of course his bill's that much because he's not paying it. And I'm like, what kind of lunatic doesn't pay their bill just to tell people online, like, look how high my bills got from not paying it. I guess there's people out there like that, but bills and payment, view your bill. That's what I'm trying to do. There we go. Put it down in the very bottom corner so you can't see the account number. So, $1,031.12. Well, I'm really opening up to you guys. How many YouTubers do this, right? New total is $2,395.09. Let's move on to the gas company, which generally isn't as heartbreaking. Matter of fact, I just paid it the other day. So, and in our area, it is Columbia Gas here. Yeah, September 12th. I just paid it. So $175 even. So $2,570.09. What do we got next? YouTube Premium. I just paid that today. It was $14.99. And if you ain't paying for it, you're crazy. It's funny because I always put it on a card that I don't necessarily want YouTube just having access to, right? I put it on a card that I can refill that doesn't necessarily have my main account money on it, so to speak. And so therefore, almost every month, unless I'm thinking about it or I see the email that says, hey, your payment's coming up. It's been 2 or 3 weeks or a month with premium. You're like, I'll go and collect aluminum cans to get that $14.99 for this next month. But, all right, let's add that to it. So $14.99. Okay, so $25.85.08. Next on the list, car payment. That is mine. So this is the last one I paid, and it is $376.19. All right, baby, let's add it. Let's get the calculator. Are you guys having a great time? This is fun. Kind of misery too. So if you hate me a little bit and you're kind of a troll, you should be sitting there enjoying this. Like, haha, look at this stupid bastard spending all his money. So we've got $2,961.27. Her payment, she said it was $220. $3,181.27. Her insurance, she said $170. That is $3,351.27. And if I was some financial guy, this would be the point where I would say, like, well, this is a point where you guys can save and add to your savings by bundling all together. So the $200 in fuel that I spend a month. All right, with that $200 allotted just for the fuel for my truck, we are at $3,551.27. Let's get into the real brass tacks of it, right? The grocery store. You guys seen that receipt flying in the wind yesterday in that video when me and her walked out? It was $349 exactly. I don't know if she still has the receipt or not. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you still have that receipt from yesterday from Walmart?
I think it's in your truck.
Okay, let me go see if I can find that real quick. All right. I don't get it. At first, I'm like, I don't want to show that we had to use $30 of a gift card, but whatever. So $349.07. Sadly, this won't last our family that long. We probably went through half of this stuff in one night, and that's kind of a Sunday thing. That's why I make those jokes on here that I'm like, oh, we're going to Walmart to spend our life savings. And this may be the most boring video. You guys may be like, what is this? But I needed to do it for myself, so I'm kind of like 2 birds, 1 stone in it right now, because I'm like, I need to sit down and figure out why I'm running to the ragged edge. And I used to do this whenever I didn't have hardly any money, and I'm like, what I spend my money on? But now, more importantly than ever, is like, you got to look for these little things where you can possibly squeeze a little bit. That brings us up to $3,900 even, strangely, and 34 cents. And I haven't even added in her gas money at all. So I'm sure because she actually does a lot more of the running the kids to and from school and things like that. So if I'm spending $200, she's probably spending a little over that, but we can just say $200 just to be safe. And there's a lot of things missing off these numbers. I'm not adding in like the season when we're doing pool chemicals and we're doing all that stuff, you know, and just the everyday stuff, which that reminds me, I am gonna bring this in. But if I add just $200 just for her gas, that does get us to $4,100.34. One thing I can say for sure is I'm terrible at packing lunch, and in my brain, if I get it that $10 mark, like I did at B-Dubs in Moorhead, I'm like, man, I'm doing good. I only spent $10 on lunch today. And a $5 tip. But I only spent $10 today on lunch, right? But 10 times 30 is $300, right? Let me make sure since I'm on camera. Yeah. So that's $300 on top of that $4,100. So 4,134 cents. Yeah. So, and I think the point's kind of made. I don't need to go any further necessarily, but that's $4,400. Should be on the bottom of the screen right here anyway, but $4,400.34. Now, what would somebody have to make? So you divide that by 2 people, and you get $2,200.17, and that's per month, right? A piece. So each one of you has to make $2,200.17 just to cover that. Not to have anything extra that you can put into a 401k, that you put into savings, or that you can, whatever, rainy day fund, but just to make it. And there's a lot of things we're missing. $2,200.17. So you'd have to make that a month, which if you divide that by 4, you'd know how much you needed to make a week. So we would both have to make $550.04 a week. If you were to divide that by 40, that's how much you would have to make an hour, which is $13.75. Oh, gotcha, man. $13.75. That's not that much. People can live off that. This is all gross pay. This isn't net pay after taxes, right? Because you actually take that $550 that you have to make, and about 17% tax is the rule of thumb. That's what I've always told everybody is 17%. It's a good number because if you figure in your state, city, and federal and Social Security and all that, it usually comes around 17%. For some reason, you not only need to make that $550, but you need to do it after 17%, right? So it just gets harder and harder and harder. I guess just to keep the lights on is the way to put it, is $4,400 a month for our house. And there's people out there on Social Security that's making like $800 a month, right? And I know you have people out there, and there's a couple other things. There's one thing that I didn't even put in here, just out of embarrassment, I guess, because there's another personal loan that I'm paying $175 a month on, so we're well over $4,500, probably $5,000 really when you really dig into every little penny. But you think $500 or $5,500 a month for such a modest living? We don't do anything outside of our means, really. I mean, we need to have nice vehicles to get ourselves around, and we have to pay the utilities to keep the place on here. But a lot of people would look at that $4,400 or $4,500 and be like, "Oh man, that's discouraging." That's the reason I don't want to do it. I'm just going to stay on disability, or I'm just going to stay on SSI, or I'm just going to, it's a lot smarter. I'm working the system, man. I'm working for Uncle Larry, and I'm back there helping him power wash fences, and he's paying me cash, man, just so I can keep my benefits or whatever. But that's what also drives that number up. It's possible for anybody, right? Because like I was saying, just 6 years ago, I was working, and the place was called Kirchhoff Automotive, and I've seen a couple comments of people that are local that know that place, and $9 an hour, right? So let's just see that. So $9 times 40 hours equals that, and then we times that by the 4 weeks in a month. So at Kirchhoff, I was making $1,440 a month. And now, 6 years later, my bills are $4,500 a month. Just, not all of them, again, but that's the point. You know, was I happy there? No. It was just enough to pay rent in this upstairs apartment just to get by, and I was on that level because I had to have some teeth worked on. And I remember, and sadly enough, this is how the government is. They were like, oh, well, you make too much money for insurance. I'll never forget this. It was scheduled. I had this tooth that was killing me. It was a wisdom tooth that I didn't have room for. So it had some decaying issues, and I was up all night with the word gel. I'm up all night with that, you know, and I took the day off of work, which funny enough was why they didn't hire me when they did their hiring, because you're all temps until you get hired. But I thought it was hilarious because I took a day off to get my tooth pulled. But the morning of, this oral surgeon calls me out of Chillicothe, Ohio, and says, "Hey, your insurance didn't approve this procedure." And I'm like, at the time, you know, I just got out of the homeless shelter. I got the best insurance that no money can buy, right? Because I'm living in the homeless shelter and I'm barely making it. So, you know, I had the Medicaid or whatever they call it. And they're like, yeah, they're not going to pay for it. And I called and got a representative on the line, and they were like, well, yeah, $9 an hour is kind of on that limit, which is mind-blowing. And I could see that making a lot of people being like, oh, well, then screw this. I'm not going to work then. You know, I'm just going to, whatever, go help Uncle Larry power wash fences. There was a guy that I kind of knew a little bit that worked at that same place, and he actually did for several years, had approved disability or SSI, whatever you call it, and could have lived that life forever, right? Just could have just laid around and collected that check every month and just played the game, played the system. But he worked there at that same place, and he was willing to move up and work up the ranks to line lead and manager and all that stuff. And he ended up, I mean, he got to like $24, $25 an hour last time I talked to him, but I just remember that dude had no idea how much he inspired me, how much I was like, dude, no way. Here's a guy that had a free ride basically and could have just done the thing that everybody else does. But he decided I don't want to sit around and do that anymore. And if more people would do that, the whole world would be a better place. And I mean, as cliche as it sounds, if I could do it, you can do it, right? There's only one way to sign this off. With a high five from this guy. High five.